Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel. You can also check me out on Spotify, Apple Music. You can also check MJF AEW World Champion out at Creator Pro, the promotion or school led by Brian Myers of, Major Brothers Pro Wrestling Podcast fame, or whatever you call it. He's also on Impact Wrestling. He was Kurt Hawkins in WWE for a number of years. Opened this school, trained guys like MJF, and it looks like they had a pretty good crowd at a hockey rink. The floor was full. They had pyro for MJF, who came back and wrestled at his his first promotion. This guy tried to do the Eddie Guerrero, tried to make it look like MJF hit this gentleman with the chair. MJF, of course, knew this game, made it look like he got hit with the chair after the chair was thrown at him. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. MJF got the victory, didn't lose the AEW title in this hockey rink, but it was kind of cool to see MJF back at his roots. We didn't see him on Dynamite tonight, but we did see him at Creator Pro. Someone we might not see, unfortunately, ever again in a wrestling ring will be Randy Orton. Rumors are that because of these injuries he sustained last year, he might have to retire. Apparently, the doctors are maybe kind of hinting at asking him to retire. This has been an over 20-year career in the WWE. Multiple world titles, like over 10 world titles, I think. And if this happens to be his retirement year, I would say it's kind of bittersweet because, RK Bro was a great fun run that he had for a number of years. Riddle, it seems like he was at his peak. Randy Orton, might not be at his peak, but definitely was having a great time in the veteran role that he was in, and just took the wrestling world by storm. RK Bro, 420 Bro, you gotta love it. Speaking of WWE, speaking of 420 Bro, speaking of Monday Night Raw, I was there. This is my 8th Raw, which I was excited to figure that out while I was waiting for main event to start and everything like that. And this one was the most hyped I've ever seen, the most packed I've ever seen in the Greensboro Coliseum, where I've seen 7 of those 8 Raws. Sean Ross Sapp said it was the highest grossing WWE show in Greensboro Coliseum history. I can believe that. I've been to multiple pay-per-views, multiple Raws, multiple SmackDowns, multiple house shows in this arena. Been to an AEW show. Been to a WCW show in this arena. And this was definitely a hyped crowd. The crowd was there to have fun. They weren't there to turn against the product, which is interesting to see. This whole singing the theme song thing, I think I have to give credit to NXT, because Shinsuke Nakamura, then the Finn Balor stand up and everyone does the pose. Even Robert Roode, people forget about Robert Roode. And now you look at who's at the helm of creative in WWE, and now you hear Seth Rollins' theme song being sang, you hear Cody Rhodes' theme song being sang. Of course, I do think Judas had to play a part in that as well, over on the other side of things. But this whole thing where everyone knows the theme song, everyone's singing along, is quite fun at wrestling shows. Sami and Kevin Owens, of course, everyone's singing Sami Zayn's entrance. I almost said Sammy Guevara there. Huge pop. There's also multiple people that got Cena-like pops at this show. Of course, years ago, Cena was the only guy that was over. Cena was the only guy people cared about. Most people who would come out, people would take pictures of their entrance, but no one really cared. But there was multiple people here where people were just enjoying seeing them come out, singing along, and having a great time. Cena-like pops, I'm saying, for at least 4 guys. Sami Zayn being one of those guys. Another one of those guys, Shinsuke Nakamura, who came out during commercial break. People singing his entrance, and then he ended up beating The Miz, even though he didn't get an entrance on TV. I thought that was pretty interesting. Walter is over. Ali winning the Battle Royal surprised me, because I think, Ali is a heel that people kind of cheer because of his work rate, and he's going up against Gunther, a guy who's a heel that people kind of cheer because of his work rate. So, who knows what's going to happen here? Is it two faces? Is it two heels? It's in Saudi Arabia, Night of Champions. I don't think Gunther's going to lose, I'll say that much, but it's an interesting choice of opponents for Gunther on this pay-per-view. JD McDonough in the Battle Royal before his video package. I thought that the video package was well done. They might have done better showing that prior to the Battle Royal, along with Apollo Crews. They could have hyped up the Battle Royal. Like, all these guys are debuting in this Battle Royal. It's for the Intercontinental title. They could have done tons of stuff with that Battle Royal, but they kind of threw it out there and then kind of told the backstories after it happened. I thought that was kind of silly. The two jobbers that went up against Jinder Mahal's team, their brother Ali, I actually seen him in Deadlock Pro. He's the Deadlock Pro champion, a promotion out of Durham, North Carolina. And then Jackson Drake, this is pretty crazy. His family would come into the restaurant that I was serving for years, and he was like this young teenage kid in a Bullet Club shirt. He went on to Firestar Wrestling Academy. His parents' neighbor plays music, and I was filming him for kind of this YouTube commercial we were making for Red Oak, and we used Jackson Drake, the guy who wrestled on Raw's house, and in the backyard he had a wrestling ring. So throughout just kind of us living in the same town, I kind of followed this guy's very small career to leading up to seeing him on Raw. And I was, of course, marking out, trying to tell everyone in my section, I know that guy, he wrestles in Greensboro. No one gave a shit. Then I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy with my family, believe it or not, and everyone in the car was like, did you see Raw? Did you see those guys get beat up? I was like, I know those guys who got beat up. And I told them the story, and they didn't care, which is interesting to see, because it's like the majesty of pro wrestling still works. The guys who are doing the offensive moves, the guys who get the entrance, the guy who gets the cool song is the guy that people are going to talk about, regardless of this cool Cinderella story, so to speak, that you have with this guy who lives in your hometown. You get to see him live his dream. No one cared. No one still cared. Everyone liked to watch wrestling. Everyone was there to cheer for the show, which is, in the past, people kind of, not like anyone has a beach ball at Greensboro, North Carolina, but, they're chanting things that might not go along with the show. They're also chanting CM Punk. Years ago, people would chant CM Punk the whole night, and it's just what they did. It was fun. It was part of the show. For me, at least, being a part of the crowd. About 10 people tried to start a CM Punk chant, and they got booed. Another thing that I think is fun that they do at Raw now that they used to not do was in between commercials, it was just dark, and that would make the show drag on so much. But now in between commercials, they'll play DX and tell everyone to do their DX X's. Of course, everyone's just crotch chopping like crazy. They tell everyone to pose like Hulk Hogan. One time they do just a dance break, but when they did the DX commercial break, Xavier Woods, who was standing out there, and instead of just standing in the ring, he jumped into the crowd, got the crowd hyped, went all the way into sections that you probably wouldn't think of him going, getting people to go crazy. And then when we came back from commercial break, the crowd was hyped as shit because Xavier Woods got us hyped. It was kind of cool to see. Cody is another one of those guys that got the Cena pop just coming out for a promo. Riddle was not one of those guys, which I was surprised. Last Raw I went to in Raleigh in 2021, Riddle was one of those guys, definitely with the RK Bro thing. So maybe Riddle is hoping, more than anyone, that these rumors with Randy Orton aren't true, because I'm sure he misses those Cena pops. And, of course, he doesn't want his friend to retire. But I do think that, a year and a half ago, Riddle was one of those guys you thought was going to be a big star. Now it's kind of like Sammy, Cody, Kevin Owens, even Gunther, I would say, Shinsuke Nakamura. People way down the list are getting bigger pops and better reactions than Riddle. And that's just interesting to see. Let me know in the comments, or let me know if you attended a live show and it was different, or it was the same, or what you thought. Because right now I'm going to tell you guys what I think of AEW Dynamite this week. I'm going to give you my overall thoughts, and I'm going to rank every single match from worst to first, just like I do every single episode on Curtain Jerkin, or every single episode that I talk about Dynamite at least. And on Dynamite, we're going to talk about Wardlow coming out on the top of the show. They started the show with talking. They ended the show with talking. Very talk-centric Dynamite. And we'll get into that. Wardlow comes out, calls out Christian Cage after he cut a crazy promo, said he was going to spit in his face. He said, well, why don't you come out here and do it? He comes out and almost does. He, hawks back, but he doesn't, fully spit on the guy before he gets choked. Luchasaurus gets involved. Christian hits a low blow. They bring a ladder into play. They take out Wardlow with the ladder. Later on in the show, Wardlow challenges the TLC legend turned major douchebag to a ladder match at Double or Nothing, and I bet he's going to accept. Blackpool Combat Club attack the Young Bucks backstage very early on the show, and then we get a Cassidy makes an open challenge that 20 people accept. So then Cassidy says it's going to be a 21 participant blackjack battle royal at Double or Nothing. We get a video package for the 4-way world title match at Double or Nothing. Darby cuts a promo, Sammy and a rubs. They kind of have a mutual respect in this rivalry now. It seems like everyone's going against MJF. It would be ridiculous to take the title off of MJF at this point. This is I would say you got your flagpole, your tent pole programs for MJF. You've already done your Danielson, and this is just a feud to get him to that other tent pole. And I don't know where that tent pole will be. I mean, there's rumors CM Punk will come back. I would say that's a tent pole. I would say that, if they heat Wardlow up well in this Christian Cage program, I would say that's a tent pole given their history. There's rumors that Goldberg will come back. I feel like Goldberg and MJF would be a great feud. In fact, MJF is the only wrestler I want to see Goldberg wrestle if he does come back to wrestling and comes to AEW for the first time. Tony Schiavone invites Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh out, but can't get them all the way to the ringside because FTR comes out, pushes Singh off the stage, attacks them all, rips Jay Lethal's pants. This was a ridiculous moment, but then Karen Jarrett comes out to absolute crickets, negative heat, negative Cena pop. No one watched Impact Wrestling from Austin, Texas, it seems like, and no one remembered Karen Jarrett. But you got to give it up to Jeff Jarrett for getting signed to AEW, getting himself on TV, now one match away from winning a title in AEW, and then getting his wife on TV. I mean, backstage politics, you got to golf clap that up because Jeff Jarrett is doing it well. And I think in front of the screen doing well too. You got to give it up to him on both ends of the camera, behind the curtain, in front of the curtain, in the ring. Jeff Jarrett is probably AEW MVP of 2023, I would say, this far in. Tony Khan makes an announcement, announces that there's going to be a Saturday show, Collision, starting June 17th. I'll watch it. I'll see what goes on. All kinds of rumors about CM Punk being on the show. All kinds of rumors about Ace Steel coming back. And all kinds of rumors about Ace Steel not coming back. And that's why CM Punk is upset again at AEW. I don't know if any of this is true. I enjoy CM Punk heavily. I enjoy Ace Steel heavily. I mean, I wouldn't mind any one of these guys coming back. Tony Storm cuts a promo on Jamie Hayter. Don Callis coming out, main eventing the show. Fans chanting piece of shit. Omega comes out, starts knocking out security guards. Blackpool Combat Club come out and attack Kenny Omega. The Bucks come out after being attacked, all banged up, get weapons to beat Blackpool's ass. Then Hangman's music hits. He's got a fucking sick-ass eye patch, and he's ready to go down there. They all attack him. Hangman gets the mic, says, "We are the elite." People go nuts here. Anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing. Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite, with Hangman Page joining the Elite again for the first time in a few years. This is pretty cool to see. You got 4 former world champions in this thing. I guess you got Claudio, a current world champion in Ring of Honor. Anarchy in the arena. I'm ready for it. I'm also ready to give you guys my picks for the best match on AEW Dynamite this week. I'm going to rank every single match from worst to first. All 6 matches. 6 matches. That's a lot for Dynamite. I said it was a talk-heavy show, but here I am telling you about 6 matches. Number 6, last place, Sammy Guevara versus Exodus Prime. Exodus Prime, I didn't know who this guy was, but I was doing some Googling. Started in 2019, wrestled in AEW and Impact, but then he got hit with the GTH 123. Sammy Guevara cutting a promo afterwards, and they're in Austin, Texas, which was the home of Wrestle Circus, which was the first promotion that really pushed Sammy Guevara. He kind of hinted at it. And I kind of forgot about Wrestle Circus, so it was kind of cool that he reminded me of it. I wonder what happened to that promotion. Number 5 out of 6, Baker and Sheeta versus Ruby and Toni Storm. Saraya gets involved. Sheeta with the hot tag strike battle with Ruby and Sheeta on the apron. Baker, or not on the apron, in the ring, Baker drops her. 1-2, Storms breaks it up. Saraya distracts the ref while Baker gets her eyes sprayed with spray paint by Toni Storm right in the face. 1, 2, 3. The Outcasts get the victory. Number 4, just missing the podium, the main event of the wrestling portion of the wrestling show. Jay White and Ricky Starks. Juice at ringside. White stalls, but then gets in control. Classic Jay White here. Dueling chants. Uranagi tossing Starks to the outside. Gets back in. Starks, 1, 2, no. Spear, Rosham, no. Jay White gouges the eyes. Juice brings in a chair after the ref is talking to him. Starks gets the chair, hits Juice, then hits Jay White right in front of the referee, gets himself DQ'd. He's walking around like a badass, like he just took out the guys that have been fucking with him, which I get that from, Ricky Starks' perspective. But from my perspective as a fan, I mean, getting yourself purposely DQ'd just kind of makes me wonder why I'm watching this whole damn match. And it was the main event of the show. It was very WWE to do something like this, and not very AEW. I gotta say, this is one thing that I liked about AEW is very little DQs. Raw in 2021 and even into 2022, we're doing so many DQ finishes. They still kind of do a lot of DQ finishes. And I'm still shell-shocked from those days. I don't like DQ finishes in my weekly TV promotion. I like, like getting caught, cheating and getting caught, or a wrestler from outside coming in and ruining the match. But if you're in the match, you decide to wrestle a match, and you're doing everything by the rules for 10 to 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden you just cheat, I think that's lazy. That's lazy from the mind from the wrestler, and lazy writing if we're looking behind the curtain as well. But making the podium, Roosh and Jungle Boy. Roosh busts Jungle Boy open. Jungle Boy gets him caught in a snare trap. Roosh struggling, gets to the ropes, ends up getting into an argument with the ref. Roll up 1, 2, 3. Jack Perry steals one. Ingobernable's attack. Darby and Sammy come out, chasing them away. We got admiration here going into Double or Nothing between the 3 out of the 4 wrestlers that aren't the world champion in the title match. What's MJF think of this? He's pissed. He pushes Renee Paquette and just shows a little frustration there. Number 2, picking up the silver medal here, the first match on the show, Cassidy and Darby versus the Firms, Moriarty and Big Bill. Big Bill looks massive with these other 3 in the ring. Darby with a hot tag, huge sidewalk slam. Big Bill was the MVP of this match, I would say. 1, 2, Darby kicks out. Moriarty gets the upper hand. Orange punch to Bill, coffin drop to Moriarty, but then Darby picks him up and wins with a headlock takedown. 1, 2, 3, sending a message to MJF. And then the best match of the show, because it was the most fun match on the show, not necessarily a technical wrestling match, but a big fight feel. And the spectacle is what got it into the number one ranking. That's Roderick Strong versus Chris Jericho. I don't want to say a bit of a dream match, but a very interesting match for people that have been watching wrestling for a long time. Two guys who have been at it for a long time finally locking horns in AEW. Both guys working snug, which was amazing to see. Falls count anywhere they go into the concession stand. They fight on the stairwell, and the stairwell, it just has this nice echo to it. So when they're chopping the shit out of each other, you can just hear it echoing all the way up this stairwell. That was a very nice touch. Very good visual here. Jericho gets hit with like whipped cream in the face at one point, and then they battle outside. And this is pretty interesting because Chris Jericho made a stipulation that Adam Cole couldn't be in the same building as him. And then that's what led to Roderick Strong having a match with them. But they weren't in the same building because they were outside. So then Jericho eats a boom knee in the face in the goddamn Garden of all places. 1, 2, 3. Roderick Strong gets the victory. Fun brawl. Reminded me of Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit in WCW. And then also tied into the storyline they're telling currently with Jericho and Adam Cole. So that's why I ranked it number one. It reminded me of why I've loved wrestling so much. I feel like I'm getting all hyped up here, and I've already watched Dynamite. I've already been to Raw. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I got to wait till 6:30 on Friday to watch Rampage, and then at 8 o'clock is SmackDown. But what am I going to do on Thursday night? I don't know. Maybe I'll watch ROH. Maybe I'll watch Impact Wrestling. Maybe there'll be something on Fight Plus, which I just signed up for. I got rid of IWTV, and I signed up for Fight Plus. If you guys want to know my streaming independent wrestling habits, there you go. I feel like there's a big current of good promotions, namely GCW and House of Glory, going to fight, and a lot of IWTV is purely deathmatch wrestling, not enough of the wrestling that I kind of enjoy. So here I am, signing over to Fight Plus. That's my analysis on my independent wrestling streaming services. Fly high, I'm out.